Hello, today's story takes place in the state of Chhattisgarh, central India. This area boasts diverse terrain. Mountains lie to the north and south, while fertile plains suitable for farming stretch across the middle, making it an important rice growing region in India, often referred to as the Rice Bowl of Central India. In Janjir Champa, a district at the heart of Chhattisgarh, there are many villages, including one called Pirid. The residents here primarily live off agriculture, with rice as their main crop. Every summer during the harvesting season, drought and water scarcity present the biggest challenges. The villagers have had to dig wells and use groundwater for irrigation to sustain their agricultural activities. There is a small family in the village consisting of 3 members: the head of the household, Mr. Ram Kumar Sahu, his wife, Rohini Sahu, and their 11-year-old son Rahul Sahu. Rahul is a well-behaved and understanding child who often helps his parents with farm work. His parents love him dearly, and everyone in the village praises him. In 2022, the peaceful life of the family was turned upside down by an incident. Rahul had a sudden accident while playing in the backyard. Immediately after, a large-scale rescue operation was launched. So, what exactly happened that day? Let's go back to June 10th, 2022 to delve into the details. On June 10th, 2022, it was a Friday, the middle of summer, which is the busiest time of the year for farmers. Across the fields in Pirid, farmers could be seen working hard. At around 2 p.m., the couple went out to the fields as usual, leaving their son Rahul home alone. Unlike other children, Rahul didn't run around wildly. He usually stayed close to home and never wandered off far. That afternoon, while playing in the backyard, Rahul inadvertently stepped on the mouth of an abandoned well. The well had a diameter of 30 cm, but was 24 meters deep. As it had not been used for a long time, a thick layer of mud had accumulated at the bottom. This somewhat cushioned the impact when Rahul fell. Despite the frightening fall, Rahul's life was not in immediate danger. The space at the bottom of the well was very narrow, and it was pitch dark with only a faint glimmer of light from the well's opening. The air was thick with the full smell of mud, making it difficult for Rahul to breathe. Terrified and panicked, Rahul shouted for help, but his parents were out in the fields and couldn't hear his cries. After a while, he managed to calm down a bit, looked up, and shouted as loud as he could, hoping someone would hear him. A bit later, Rahul's mother, Rohini, returned home and didn't see her son anywhere. She hurriedly searched the house, but couldn't find him. This had never happened before, and a sense of unease began to rise within her. Just then, she heard faint cries for help coming from the backyard. Listening closely, she recognized her son's voice. She rushed to the backyard to locate the source of the cries. After some searching, her gaze fell upon the opening of the abandoned well. Rohini's heart skipped a beat when she realized her son had fallen into the well. She immediately called the police and then leaned over the well, calling out to Rahul and assuring him not to be afraid as she would get help. Upon receiving the call, the police quickly arrived at the scene. By then, many villagers had gathered around the well, all worried and anxiously discussing ways to rescue the boy. The path into the village was blocked by the curious crowd. Rahul's parents remained by the well, continuously comforting their son. According to the investigation, Rahul was born in Pirid, was 11 years old, and was the only child in the family. Unfortunately, Rahul was born deaf and had a speech disorder. He couldn't hear any sounds and couldn't speak in complete sentences, only able to make simple noises. His parents had taken him to numerous hospitals, but there had been no significant improvement. Mr. Ram and his wife always felt guilty about their son's condition, so they loved Rahul even more. Despite their modest means, they always tried their best to fulfill their son's needs. Thanks to his parents' careful care, Rahul grew up healthy. He was not only intelligent but also more well-behaved than other children his age. Mr. Ram and his wife mentioned that the well their son fell into had been dug a few years back to a depth of 24 meters, initially intended for agricultural irrigation. However, as the water yield was insufficient, the well had been abandoned for a long time. Because the well's opening was quite narrow, only about 30 cm. They didn't foresee its potential danger and hadn't taken any precautionary measures, never imagining such a tragedy would befall their son. Mr. and Mrs. Dam pleaded with the police to save their son at all costs, as he was their only hope. After assessing the situation, the police concluded that their force was insufficient to rescue Dae Hun and immediately contacted the rescue team. A short while later, the rescue team arrived at the scene and began their work. The first task was to pinpoint Dae Hun's location in the well, which would determine the appropriate rescue method. Given the narrow well opening, an adult couldn't fit down it, so the rescue team used ropes to lower a camera and sensors into the well to determine Dae Hun's exact position. The equipment quickly reached the bottom of the well, revealing that it was filled with mud, altering the actual depth from the initial 24 meters. Ultimately, they found Dae Hun at a depth of 18 meters. Fortunately, he was still conscious with no serious injuries. When the camera approached, Dae Hun even extended his hand to adjust the angle, ensuring the equipment could capture the surroundings clearly. The camera images showed that Dae Hun's lower body was trapped in the mud, surrounded by a slippery, unsupported mud layer. Any movement risked him sinking deeper. Additionally, it appeared that water was seeping from the well's sides, worsening the already cramped and stifling conditions. Rescuing Dae Hun was extremely challenging. To provide him with oxygen, the rescue team lowered a breathing tube to the bottom of the well. That evening, the rescue team held a meeting to discuss possible rescue plans. One suggestion was to tie a rope around Dae Hun's foot, drop it into the well, and slowly pull him up. This was the simplest and most direct method. However, Dae Hun was hearing impaired and had a language disorder, preventing normal communication. Even if they dropped the rope, he wouldn't be able to follow instructions to tie it around himself. If the rope became loose during the lift, the consequences would be dire. Hence, this method was clearly unfeasible. Another proposal involved using a drilling machine to create a vertical tunnel parallel to the well, then dig a horizontal tunnel to reach Dae Hun's position. This effective method had been used in many rescues in other countries. Nevertheless, drilling would cause significant vibrations, and the weak soil around the well could collapse, posing a severe danger to Dae Hun's life. However, these vibrations could be mitigated by manually digging the vertical tunnel. This approach also had drawbacks. The tunnel could only accommodate 1 to 2 workers at a time, requiring considerable physical effort. Workers would need to periodically return to the surface to rest, reducing work efficiency. Therefore, the second method was also dismissed. Another suggested approach was to use multiple excavators to dig a large pit at a safe distance from the well. When the pit's depth matched D. Hun's position, the rescue team could dig a horizontal tunnel to reach and extract him. This method, though time-consuming and labor-intensive, did not require digging too deep and was safer. After careful consideration, the rescue team chose the third method. Subsequently, multiple excavators were brought to the scene, and they began digging a pit 5 meters away from the abandoned well, a distance deemed safe and reasonable. Digging too close could allow vibrations from the excavators to affect the well. News about the incident of the 11-year-old boy falling into the well spread widely. Reporters from major media outlets quickly arrived at the scene to monitor and report on the rescue operation. The rescue of Da Hun quickly became the focal point of public attention, with many expressing concern for the boy's safety. The Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, the Minister of Home Affairs, the Minister of Emergency Management, and other high-ranking officials arrived at the scene after receiving the news. The National Disaster Response Force and the Indian Army were also deployed to assist. More and more rescue forces joined the operation, bringing the total to 500 people. On the second day of Da Hun being trapped, his parents were able to see their son through the camera footage. They were deeply moved to see a snake and a frog beside Da Hun. This discovery caused them great anxiety. Knowing that their son was very afraid of such animals, they knew Da Hun must be extremely frightened. They worried that the snake might be venomous and could bite their son, making their hearts stop, as they could only pray for Da Hun's safety. While the excavator was operating, the rescue team used a rope to send down a banana, fruit juice, and some other food to Da Hun. Through the camera screen, everyone could see that Da Hun was very calm, neither crying nor causing a fuss. The boy took the food and ate it with gusto. Seeing their son like that, Da Hun's parents felt somewhat comforted. However, bad news quickly came when the digging progressed deeper. The groundwater was affected, causing water to seep increasingly from the well walls. If not handled in time, the water could rise and engulf Da Hun. Some suggested using a pump to remove the water. Nevertheless, the rescue team leader dismissed this idea. The reason was that the pump's operation would create vibrations, potentially making the surrounding soil and rocks loosen, worsening the water seepage and endangering Da Hun's life. After a discussion, the rescue team decided on a safer method. They tied a metal bucket to a rope and slowly lowered it into the well. Da Hun appeared a bit confused at the sight of the bucket, but he quickly understood and began using his hands to scoop out the water. Despite being stuck in the mud and unable to move his lower body, Da Hun tried his best to cooperate with the rescue team. Everyone was touched by Da Hun's intelligence and resilience. This 11-year-old boy showed extraordinary calmness and bravery in a life and death situation. After a while, the water stopped seeping from the well walls, and Da Hun, with a face full of exhaustion, fell asleep without realizing it. Outside, the rescue operation encountered a significant obstacle. Upon reaching a certain depth, the excavator hit a hard rock layer, significantly slowing their progress. During this time, the rescue team closely monitored Dahan's condition, worried about the prolonged confinement in a narrow space. Fortunately, everything remained under control. Dahan was fine, and the snake posed no threat to him. By early morning on June 12th, the third day of Dahan being trapped, the excavator finally reached a depth of 18 meters. According to the initial plan, they would proceed to dig a horizontal tunnel to reach Dahan's location. However, another problem arose. If they dug the horizontal tunnel right above Dahan, falling soil and rocks might hit him when the tunnel broke through. On the other hand, if they dug the tunnel parallel to Dahan's position, the machinery might injure him upon breakthrough. To ensure absolute safety, the rescue team decided to dig the horizontal tunnel to a position below Dahan. The excavator continued digging another 3 meters, bringing the total depth to 21 meters. Then, they commenced the horizontal tunneling. Previously, the rescue team had mobilized a large tunnel drilling machine from Billapura City, 80 km away. This machine had high power and efficiency, capable of digging tunnels quickly. The rescuers carefully controlled the direction and speed of the drilling machine to avoid significant vibrations. Everything was proceeding according to plan. To save time, the rescue team worked tirelessly day and night, with immediate replacements for anyone exhausted. They formed a long line, passing buckets of soil and rocks from the tunnel outwards. Everyone hoped to rescue Dahan as soon as possible. However, just when victory seemed within reach, a large rock unexpectedly blocked the tunnel. The drill tried multiple times, but couldn't penetrate the rock. The rescue operation reached an impasse. Dahan's parents were restless, filled with worry. They continuously monitored the site and inquired about the situation, as each passing minute intensified their anxiety, putting their son at greater risk. Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Badal made a video call to Dahan's parents, offering encouragement and heartfelt condolences. He assured them, "Rest assured, we will do everything possible to save your son." His sincere words boosted Dahan's parents' confidence. They believed that the rescuers would indeed bring their son back safely. At this time, the rescue team also reached out through media, calling for help from the community. They hoped to find individuals or organizations capable of handling this persistent obstacle to rescue the boy. On the 4th day since Dahan was trapped, a man named Asit contacted the rescue team. He came from Gujarat state and was an expert in rescue robot manufacturing. After seeing the news on TV, he was deeply moved by Dahan's situation and decided to offer his assistance for free. Asit had extensive experience in rescue operations. In the past, he had successfully utilized robots of his creation in numerous rescue missions. Traditional drilling machines are limited by shape and engine, making it difficult to operate efficiently in complex underground environments. Meanwhile, robots are compact, precisely controlled by computers, and capable of performing complex tasks in various environmental conditions. On that very day, Asit brought his rescue robot to the scene and coordinated with the local rescue team. Under Azit's control, the robot's drill successfully penetrated the rock layer. However, another challenging problem arose immediately afterward. The structure above the tunnel was very weak, and the deeper they dug, the more soil and rock fell down. The risk of a cave-in could happen at any moment, and if that occurred, all their efforts would have been in vain. To reinforce the tunnel, the rescue team decided to use culvert pipes. They quickly transported 2 large culvert pipes to the site. This method proved to be quite effective. The tunnel became much more stable after being reinforced with the culverts, significantly increasing the safety of the rescue operation. As they got closer to Dao Hun's position, the rescue team switched to using small handheld drills and digging by hand to avoid injuring Dao Hun. At around 11 p.m. on June 14th, the 5th day of Dao Hun being trapped, after immense effort, the rescue team finally reached the boy's position. They saw that the lower part of Dao Hun's body was trapped in the mud. The rescue workers carefully freed Dao Hun from the mud. Fortunately, Dao Hun was not injured. However, having been trapped for a long time, the boy appeared very weak. The rescue team immediately put an oxygen mask on Dao Hun. They then placed him on a stretcher and slowly brought him out of the tunnel. After many days of relentless effort, Dao Hun was finally brought to the surface safely. At that moment, the whole scene erupted in joy, with many people cheering, "Wonderful! Dao Hun has been rescued." Millions of people watching on TV and the internet witnessed this miraculous moment. Dao Hun lay on the stretcher, smiling brightly despite being covered in mud. His spirits seemed quite good. The scene was crowded, from rescue personnel and curious locals to reporters. Everyone clapped and cheered to celebrate the successful rescue. People hugged each other, unable to hide their happiness. The rescue mission officially ended successfully. The 11-year-old boy escaped death after being trapped for 104 hours in the dark well. He was reborn, creating a remarkable miracle of human resilience. People fondly called Dao Hun the Miracle Boy, speaking emotionally before the press after his son was rescued. Mr. Dam, Dao Hun's father, shared every hour that passed was a harsh challenge, but my son won. Immediately afterward, Dao Hun was taken by ambulance to the nearest hospital for treatment. All treatment costs were covered by the Chhattisgarh state government. After examination, doctors reported that because he had been in the well for too long, bacteria had entered Dao Hun's body, causing an infection. Although not life-threatening, the boy still needed to be monitored and treated in the intensive care unit ICU. Dao Hun's parents stayed outside the room, not leaving their son for a moment. On the same day, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel posted a tweet as soon as he received the news of Dao Hun's successful rescue. "Our son, so brave. He was in the well with a snake and a frog for 104 hours. Today, the people of Chhattisgarh are rejoicing for him. We hope he recovers soon and is discharged from the hospital. Once again, thank you and congratulations to all forces involved in this rescue operation." People nationwide were delighted to hear that Dao Hun was saved. They sent their blessings to the brave boy, hoping Dao Hun would recover soon. After 4 days of treatment, Dao Hun was discharged from the hospital on June 18th. Thanks to the dedicated care of the medical staff, his health recovered quickly. On Da Hun's discharge day, a large crowd gathered in front of the hospital gate. They brought gifts and warmly welcomed the boy back home. In Pirid village, locals gathered early at the village entrance to welcome Da Hun. People laughed and congratulated him on his safe return. The elders also gave their best wishes to Da Hun. Everyone wished Da Hun a healthy and peaceful life in the future. Subsequently, Da Hun's parents took him to meet and thank all those who participated in the rescue, sending thank you letters to each person. Da Hun happily took commemorative photos with soldiers and police officers. In reality, incidents similar to the one involving Da Hun frequently occur in India, particularly in remote rural areas. Some people, after digging wells, often do not fill them or put up warning signs to indicate danger. These abandoned well openings have become deadly traps for small children. In July 2006, a 4-year-old boy in Haryana accidentally fell into an abandoned well while playing. Hearing his cries, the locals quickly contacted the rescue team. After 48 hours of tireless efforts, the rescue team saved the boy safely. In 2019, a similar incident occurred in Uttar Pradesh. A 2-year-old boy playing near his home fell into an abandoned well. Fortunately, the boy was rescued successfully by the team after many hours of searching. This incident sparked a severe public outcry. Moreover, numerous similar accidents have occurred. Some people were lucky enough to be rescued, but others were less fortunate. These tragic accidents serve as a wake-up call for everyone. Let's join hands to prevent such accidents from happening. Da Hun's story has awakened the local authorities and the villagers. They realized that their carelessness is a hidden danger to innocent children. The government of Chhattisgarh launched a campaign to eliminate dangerous wells throughout the state. Thousands of abandoned wells have been filled or carefully covered, accompanied by danger warning signs. Programs promoting child safety, especially in rural areas, have been intensified. The public is encouraged to report unsafe abandoned wells to the authorities for timely action. The story of the miraculous boy Da Hun is not just a historic rescue, but also a valuable lesson in the community's responsibility towards children's safety. Hopefully, with the efforts of the authorities and the people, such accidents will not happen again. Today's video ends here, and see you in the next ones.